Lual Mayen, what we're looking at is a video game that you've produced with the title Salam. What's the premise of this game?
Yeah, first of all, Salam is an Arabic word that means peace. The purpose of the game is that in my journey and also like in the game industry, I realized that video games are a very powerful tool, to bring communities together and also to create empathy and to help people understand the world, the world crisis. And when I created Salam, there's a lot of people, like, they don't understand who refugees are and what actually it takes them to become refugees. So this is a high-tension runner game that helps people to understand the journey of a refugee. So you take a refugee from a war country to a peaceful environment. And also, like, in the game, we do not identify which one is a peaceful environment. It's not a country, but it's a place for you where you can have have a place of peace, a place of refuge, a place where you can have like a peace of mind. And the most important thing is that in the game, you take a character from a war country, from a place where they have there's a lot of hardship on the way, the journey, because a lot of people don't understand what the journey is to become a refugee. So you have to feed them food, you have to give them water, you have to give them medicine on the hardship for you to win the game. Yeah.
So who do you hope will play your game?
Because the video game industry is an industry that is actually defined by people that love to play games, people that actually take decision to be able to say, hey, I want to play this game because of this. And when I started making Salam, it's to create awareness to all the people in the world. It doesn't have a limitation as long as you really understand what it means to be a refugee. Like, high school student can play the game, anybody can play the game, as long as you really understand and love the game.
How do people access it?
So it's coming in the summer 2020, and it's going to be on Instant Game. Instant Game is a platform where you play the game instantly without using, you can use a computer, you can use your phone, you just play instantly. So I'm really so excited, and it's a platform that has over 700 million players right now, so we're really excited to be able to publish our game there.
Well, you're using stats. We have some stats that we have about the video game industry, and they're big numbers. So first of all, they're estimated that 2.5 billion gamers around the world, 2.5 billion. In the United States, 164 million. That's out of a population of 330. The global video game revenue in 2018, $139 billion, and 72% of people, at least in this country, are using their mobile phones in order to access it. That's a huge market that you're tapping into. How do you make your way in an industry that is that large?
Exactly with that, and that was my biggest fear actually when I started making video game, and also taking a different path of making game for peace and conflict resolution, making game for social impact. And when I started this journey was, I wanted to create something in the industry. That was my main focus. I did not care whether it's going to really take me to where I am today, but my main focus was I wanted to create something different in the game, because this is an industry that grows every day, and it's an industry we have young people that play the game. And the most important thing about the industry is that it's not like a movie industry. When people play games, you make decisions. There's that empathy. It's not like sitting on your couch and watch a movie. When you play a game, you make decisions. And one of the examples I always tell people is that when you play a game with your friend, and your friend kill your character, you don't tell your friend that, why did you kill my character? You react why did you kill me? Because it becomes part of you. And this is an industry that is really bringing people together, and we can use the same industry to tell people about the crisis in the world, because games are amazing. People can make decisions. It's part of empathy. So I feel for me to find myself in the industry like this, when I won the Global Gaming Citizen in 2018, was because the industry had to create something new, which actually recognize people that are using the power of games to bring about positive change in our communities, because this is something that is needed. This is something a lot of people talk every day, hey, games are not good, games are, promote violence, but we can use this medium as a tool of change. And it's just not change in terms of playing the game, but a different kind of change. When you look at my game Salam, it's a game actually that it's going to be the first game that bridges the virtual world and the reality on the ground. And what I mean by that is that when actually a player
helping people.
Yeah.
So you rightly mentioned how critical people are who don't play games of their negative power. And it seems to be action and violence that attracts gamers to games. How do you hope to attract the attention of people to play the game when you don't have so much violence, when you don't have anger in it? What will bring people to your game?
First of all, the story of the game. The story of the game, when we are designing a game, you really need to have what is your mission, what is your purpose of the game, and where your target audience. And as I mentioned before, we are a community defined by people who love to play game. And when you're designing the game, first of all, it's even if it's not a violence game, but as a person, it's like a role-playing game whereby you know the story and what is your purpose in playing the game. So the stories are really very important in every game, because it's the best way of storytelling. When someone when a kid play the game and they really understand hey, what I want to learn today is to play a game about refugees, to see what are some of the difficulties refugees go through, and what can I be able to play, what role can I be able to play as a player to be able to be part of that, to be able to get them from their war country to a peaceful environment. And one of the things people really don't understand is that even in political world, even in everywhere, we make decisions on refugees because we don't really understand who they are. Some people meet me today and they say, were you a refugee? Oh, you feel and you program and you I was a refugee. But what they don't understand was the journey that I went through for me to become a refugee. So the game is because it's a story of making people aware of the thing that a refugee goes through. And someone can play today, and in the next 10 years, they're going to be in power. In the next 20 years, they're going to be in power. And when they're making decisions, the game might help them to really understand what the journey of a refugee is. So it's more getting information and also the story of the game.
When I've read about your game, it's not only the refugee experience, but also how to solve problems without conflict. How do you approach conflict resolution in the game?
So the game, we have a design part of it whereby things pop up in the game. For example, how do you resolve this conflict? For example, it would be a question, and the question would be asking you which country do you think is going through a conflict, and then you can choose and you say what role can you be able to do as a person to be able to resolve that conflict. So it brings somebody into understanding of what role can they play, what role, because people think about conflict as maybe South Sudan is going through conflict, Yemen is going through conflict, but what are some of the things can we do as individuals to be able to understand conflict resolution? And that's why we are really partnering with some universities to do research and see how we can utilize the games to be able to bring people on the table and play the games.
Are you a real pioneer in this area of games for good, or is there a thriving community of people who are thinking about this?
There is a big community in the game for good. So sometimes we call them serious game. There's a big community, and we really want to make sure the community is getting there, because we have different kind. We have game for good, action game, there's role-playing games, but as game for good, we are not really huge in the industry. We're kind of coming up because the other part of it is that most of the games that are is one of the questions people ask me sometimes is game for good and make money. Game for good, you need to go and seek funding, and that's why as a company I had to come up with a company which is a business company to make sure that we're making game for good, and we're also able to sustain the company to make more games. So it's the business part of it is actually how it's not making us to thrive a lot as the game for good community.
Well, you have quite a path from running your company to your beginnings. So I want to spend some time and have you tell your story to our listeners.
Thank you.
So where were you born?
So I was born between a place called Achua. It's a border between South Sudan and Uganda. So, but it's on the side of South Sudan, actually. That's when I was born. So my parents had to flee the country because of the war.
They fled South Sudan.
They fled South Sudan, more than 250 miles to northern Uganda. They didn't actually know where they're going. They were just going through the bush to flee like a 200-mile walking every day. And I remember my father had to take a different road, and then my mother had to take a different road with my sibling. So that because during that time, when a woman is fleeing at the same time with a husband, and they find them on the way, they will kill all of them, or they will kill the husband. So my father had to like take a different road, and then my mother had to like take care of the children, and that's how I lost two of my sisters on the way.
Two of them died en route, and your mother was pregnant with you?
And my mother was pregnant with me. And
how many people were traveling with her?
There's a lot of people. There were actually more than like maybe 300,000 people. There was a lot of people
that were all fleeing at the same time.
Fleeing the same time, the same community, the Bol community. There was massacre. There was like it was not easy. And for them, they were just crossing like in the bush. They're like going through ambush, going through. There's no water, just drinking, bad water, like contaminated water, like going through the grass, going through the river. It was not easy for them, and there was no food. I remember my mom told me even the day she was giving birth, she didn't even know, she didn't even eat no food, and in the evening she gave birth to me, and it was not easy. It was the worst moment maybe in her life, because there was even nobody that was taking care as the child was born. There was it was outside in the bush and so on. And what really kept her a lot was she was not the only woman actually even get birth on the way. There's a lot of women. There was and she told me even some women threw out their children because they don't want them to suffer and so on. And she was when I was born, I was so strong, and she was I'm not gonna do anything to him. I'm not gonna throw him. I'm going just to keep him because maybe it's a gift to me. And it was not easy. Being a refugee, sometimes people think it's something where you just wake up in the morning and leave what you love. It's a hell of a journey. It's a journey that it's a journey of death and life. It's a journey of you're traumatized. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what to eat. You don't know you just count your days. And until they reach that place, actually I was born, and then they moved to the refugee camp, and that's where they got some humanitarian assistance.
And where was the refugee camp that they settled in?
It was called Mungali.
In what country?
In northern Uganda.
And did your father meet up with your mother?
Yeah, my father met up there. And then my father met up there, and then the UN helped them, give them some tents, and start a family there. Then they start living there and become part of their life. Yeah.
How large was that refugee camp?
It was really big. So it was a big community. I would say it's. I really don't know exactly how many people, but it's a big community. It's really big.
What are your earliest memories of the refugee camp?
My earliest memories, to me, I would say maybe when I was 7, because when I was born on the way, I was so weak. I couldn't really remember anything. I was even at the age of 5, I didn't know I was living. It was there was no food as a child. There was no it was so hard. And some of the memories I remember was struggling to get food, struggling to to find something to play with us as children, and food was the biggest issue. I remember we would wake up in the morning around 8 a.m., go to the bush so that we can go and get some some fruits to eat, and you go to the river. There was a river near where you can go and fish and get some fish in the water, and just struggling to get something to eat. So you're struggling to find something to survive. And it was really dangerous. There was even you can go to the bush and there's a lot of wild animals there. There are lipo. There's you go to the river. There's crocodile, and they were really dangerous thing. And as children, we couldn't care because we really wanted to find something to eat, because that is how we can survive. When you come back home, you only have 1 meal in a day, and it's not enough. So you wake up in the morning and go back. I remember the worst memory I ever had was when I went and my friend to the bush to go and find some mango fruits, and I climbed the mango tree, and my friend climbed as well. Then I went and I got my mango tree, and then when I got my mango tree, I came down, and my friend was still up, and he went and he fell from a mango tree, and he hit his head on the stone, and he died on the spot. And that's like the worst memory I can ever have as a child, because just we wanted food to eat, and that food like ended up, killing my friend. And I came back home and I told people, and what happened the next day. I went back on the same mango tree to go and get fruit, because I have nothing. I don't have any other option. And even if I see yesterday was like the worst day, I still went back. So a refugee camp it's more than what people think. It's not fun. It's not. Nobody deserves to be there. But for people that have left their country, they deserve to be there, because when I was in a refugee camp, it was my great moment, because when you look at me in a refugee camp, I was happy every day, because that's all I had. That's all I can be contented with. That's all I can. That's the only life that I know. There's no any other life that I know more than that.
Was there schooling for children?
There was schooling. There was school. They were like, where they teach you like, and mother teachers are not well trained. Some of them speak Dinka, some of them don't speak English. So it's like, even for us, we even have no inspiration to go to school, because what are you going to do when you go to school? And there's no way they're going to teach you, because it's not a good school, actually. Yeah.
So tell me the story of how a computer came into your life.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, like, when I was actually in a refugee camp, I was so creative more than anything, and that's one of the things like helped me a lot. And I would do anything creative, and people in the refugee camp would like it. And even like I remember I would use battery from a torch in a torch, and I would connect the whole at least 10 houses with a flashlight, and people love it. I was so creative a lot.
And where do you think that creativity came from?
Maybe from my mother. Yeah, my mother was also like so creative, and but again, when you are living in a lot of situation, it forces you to be so creative. Sometimes it happened. And
so the story of the computer came about how?
The story of the computer was when there was a refugee registration. People were like registering, like a verification. Like then during that time, they sent people maybe from Kampala or from the United Nations, and they were having computers. And when we're in the line, I saw someone was using a laptop, and I told my mother, "What is that?" And they were like, "That's a laptop." And I was like, "How did you even know it?" Because she had no idea. She has never been to school. And she was like, "That's a computer." And I was like, "Wow, this is good." And in my heart, I was like, I want to use that one day. Like I just, that moment I saw it, I felt like I really wanted to use it. And then I kept it with myself. And one day I came to my mother and I was like, I need to buy a computer.
How old were you?
I think that was 2010. So I was like maybe 17. Yeah, that's like 2010. And I told her like I need a computer. And she was like, "What are you going to do with a computer? There's no money, there's no power for you to charge it, there's nobody who's going to train you with a computer. First of all, like, why are you asking a computer?" Like, and I just ask what I love. And because she's a mother, she was like, "Yes, fine." She kept quiet. She did not disappoint me. She did not like say, "Hey, this is not happening." She just kept quiet, and she went to work so hard for like 3 years, looking for $300 to buy for me a computer. And she didn't even tell me, "Hey, Lual, I'm going to work and I will buy you a computer."
She surprised you?
Yeah, she surprised me, doing it silently. Mm-hmm. Even the day she came and told me, "Hey, Lual, I need a computer," it's a day actually like changed. The day she brought the money and said, Lual, this is the money for you to go and buy a computer, is actually the day that changed my life. Because I thought like, how did you get the money? And again I was like, if I don't use it, because then from there I now came to sense like there's no power, there's nobody going to trade me, so what am I going to do with it? And to me, like, I also ask myself, if I don't utilize it, and then I have my two brothers, one day my two brothers are going to ask my mother for something special in their life, and she'll be like, even Lual asked me for a computer and he never used it. So like it's like what I'm going to do is going to affect my brothers. So it was a moment that was a battling moment for me to see like, what can I do with this? And then,
So how did you overcome the problems of not having power?
Yeah, so then from there I was like, if my mother can walk 250 miles to save us, how about me? If she can work for 3 years looking for $300, how about me? I can still do it. And then from there I did a research and I found out that there's a place where I can charge my laptop. It's like 3 hours away from, it's a center, it's like the UN center, and they have internet cafe there, and it's called Bestcam. So I have to like walk 3 hours one way, 3 hours coming back to charge my laptop. And I was like, I was excited because I found a solution to be able to charge my laptop. So I would walk there every day. Sometime I would go there and I find there's no power, but it's fine. I come back home, charge my laptop, and then start like getting tutorials so that I can be able to learn how to use basic computer programs. Yeah.
So how your native language is Dinka?
Yes, Dinka. Yeah.
But the computer is mostly English.
English, yeah.
How did you teach yourself English in order to learn how to use the computer?
Yeah, so I had to like learn, like get tutorial online, learn some English basic, and it was a big struggle actually. Even like writing a statement or like writing stuff. So I had to like really focus a lot and utilizing knowing English, knowing math, and also like using online tutorials so that I can be able to read and also practice them.
And when was the first time that you encountered on that computer a video game?
That was 2016 actually. So I went to an internet cafe, the same internet cafe, and then my friend installed for me a video game called Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
A very violent game.
Yeah,
yes.
So Grand Theft Auto. So I came back home and I found the icon on my laptop. And I was like, what is this? This is something new. I never had it when I was back. And then I click on it, and then it opened, pooh, and I was like, wow, what is this? And then I went to see how to play the game. I got a tutorial on how to play the game. And then I started training myself how to play the game. And I was like, I never thought like even video games are made by people. I thought they just fall from heaven, like something like that. Because like, I didn't know anything about the industry. So when I played the game, that's when I got the inspiration to actually make video game. Yeah.
So you played the game and then you said, I can do this.
I played the game. After playing Grand Theft Auto, I was like, wow. Like, because as someone who has been through war, as someone who has been from South Sudan, because my country is a country that has over 73% of the population is under the age of 30. These are all young people that were born in war and they were raised up in war. So our mindset, even in a refugee camp, is still solving things about war. So when I was playing Grand Theft Auto, I was like, how about if these young people from South Sudan start playing this video game? Not because it's too violent, but because like in the video game, it's the same thing happening in my country, like killing people and all those stuff. And they will feel like this is how things are done. And I was like, how about creating a video game for peace and conflict resolution as a way, because to me, I believe that true peace is something that is built over time, and it's changed your mind. We should make peace as a product, something that interact with people. It's not just coming together and signing a ceasefire.
But Lual, where did all of those ideas come from?
That's a good question. I even asked myself today, how did that happen? I mean, like, I was just battling with all this. I was just.
Did your mother have conversations with you about it? Did your teachers, or was this all self-generated?
It was just so. I thought about all this. It was just. Even my mother didn't know what I was doing. She didn't even know what video game are. She didn't even know anything. Like I was just there, like. making sure I can do what I can as a human being. And one thing people don't understand is that wherever we are, we always have a human talent. And that human talent, it doesn't matter even if you're under the ground, even if you're in the poorest country in the world, even if from the poorest community, or like if you are like going through difficulties, there's that human talent that always pushes you to do things, and that allow us not to give up. And that's what I always think about today, is that for someone to see my talent and see and invest in me, there was nobody from like the best country in the world. It was someone who were in the same household, and it was my mother.
Your mother?
She saw it, she invested in me. It wasn't someone who just fall from somewhere, from anything. It was somebody, and sometimes our help we can come from within, and that really, really helped me a lot. My mom has generated like a big inspiration for me, and she has really taught me so much. And to be able to like create a video game right now, and realizing that games are really a very powerful tool, that we can be able to change the world. And where we are today, I tell her like, I make video games. Well, okay, go for it. I mean, like, which is really good. And
this is, though, 2016, only 3 short years ago, when you first saw this game. Walk me through what happened. How did you teach yourself to make a video game? And what happened next?
So when I had the inspiration of like, hey, I want to make game for peace, or I want to make game for social impact and for the refugees. First of all, I was like, the first game I'm going to make is just to help the refugees come together and play games so that they can have some sort of entertainment. My main focus was not like I'm going to create a game for like a youth community. Mine was to help children in a refugee camp so that they can play, so that they can have something, they can smile. So I made a video game, the same name, Salam, which was actually less than 10 MBs, a very small game. And with that, I had to like train myself graphic design. I like, create my own characters, do my own sound, go on learn tutorials so that I can create the game every day. Like programming, I think I've done so many things in my life, but programming was the hardest thing that I've ever tried, because there was nobody in the community. Sometimes I would go on my computer and then start programming, and I make an error, and I would just go throw my computer away. And then after 1 week, I could come back and I fix it. I even don't know what was the error. So there was nobody there to help me. Like, this is a problem. This is how you can solve it. So I just have to like keep the consistency and like keep working and like loving what I was doing and train myself. And then after I create the game and I start like giving it to the refugees, and they were so happy. I could see smile on their face. I could see like them coming together and play a game. And so like, how did you make this game? And and some of them were like, I want to make game. All those, and that really helped me a lot to be able to push, because the refugees were really my biggest source of inspiration, because whatever I do, they were excited with it. And then I felt like I was doing something great, even if it wasn't like perfect, but they were like, oh, this is great. We love it. And I keep on creating. And then one day, I was thinking like, what can I do to be able to like, because the reason why I made the game, which was 10 MBs, it's a small game, because there was no internet, there was no way I can publish the game. So I would use Bluetooth to share the game, APK. I would use like file sharing, Bluetooth, to be able to send it to them. Sometimes they don't have phone, and then I would use my mobile phone for them to share and play. And then one day I was like, what can I do to distribute this game to more people? And I was like, maybe let me just upload it on my Facebook page, which is like the most craziest thing like nobody has ever done. You cannot upload an APK on a Facebook page, like a picture. But I just had that inspiration and like, let me just upload it. And I uploaded it and I told people, hey, I made a game. And from there, like, people start sharing it, and then it went viral. And then a lot of video game community people show it and say like, how did you make the game? This is nice. And then the founder of Amaze Johannesburg, he was in Berlin, Germany, from Germany, and he reached out to me and he was like, oh man, I saw your game, this is amazing, how did you make it? I want to invite you to South Africa. And I was like, what? Like, South Africa? That was my first time actually like
We have actually video of that. So you were invited to a conference in South Africa. We're going to show some video of you doing an interview in 2016. This is the same year.
Yeah, the same year.
At that conference. Yeah. And as we get this ready, this was your first time ever traveling outside?
Traveling, going on a flight, and like.
It's our mandate as citizens and the youth of South Sudan who have gone to school and studied in other countries in order to impart the knowledge that we got from different countries to our own country. As someone who is into technology, I realized that ICT can be very important in peace building. So I started one of my first game. It's called Salam. Salam is an Arabic word because we use Arabic in the country. It's an Arabic word that means peace. So I'm really focusing on bringing peace in the country through ICT, through gaming. Salam game, it's a mobile application. It's available on Android. You can play it in any phone. So it's a peace building game.
So that was your first venture into the international community. Yes. What did that do for your efforts, that recognition?
That really helped me to understand what the game community is, and it really gave me exposure to the game community. And the biggest thing is most of the support right now I get from African game designers. They really helped me. When I went back after this, actually it was like a 3 days conference. I went back to the refugee camp, and every day you see me on my phone. I'm talking to most of the developers from South Africa, from Berlin, from San Francisco, and it was because of this opportunity. And they actually sent me more tutorials, and I sent them back my code, and they could help me to. It was really a biggest change in my life. Yeah.
Did you get formal schooling along the way? Did you go to college?
No, I did not.
All of your learning has been self-taught?
Self-taught most of the time, gaming, working so hard to teach myself every day.
So what was your next step then after this conference, after people started helping you? How did you move from there to the next stop on your journey?
My biggest thing was I was just keeping on building the game. I was just keeping on exploring more ideas to be able to see what can I be able to achieve. And the biggest thing is that even after this conference, I never had an idea that I would be able to leave the refugee camp. Mine was just to keep on building because I had no inspiration. And with that, I've been in refugee camp for more than 22 years, and my family have been there for more than 25 years. And a lot of people think that a refugee camp is a temporary place. It's not. It's a permanent place. After the conference, it really helped me a lot to be able to connect with more developers and more designers, and actually giving me the guideline of the game community and what I can be able to do next, and actually helping me exactly how to scale my game, and also how to scale my business, and also see what can I do more than what I had already, and that helped me a lot.
How did you think of it as beyond being a game to being a business at that point? Where were you getting, what were the people that were mentoring you, helping you to think about more broadly?
From there, exactly one of the things was, as a business, I knew that I would be able to really expand it and create something in a refugee camp.
But you had no experience with business.
I have no experience. In a refugee camp, people do small businesses, sell fish, sell crops and all those stuff. But through that experience, it helped me to really learn how can I sell my product? How can I be able to make my own product, maybe make a t-shirt and all those stuff to be able to sell. So that helped me to see how can I be able to make this game as a platform that can be able to just not only me, but bring more people. But again, it took me a long time just to register it as a business, but I was the only person working on it because I had no funding, I had no money to be able to bring people and work on this. But my main idea was to comprise it and make it sure it's a business, because opportunities come anytime. And because of that, as I mentioned before, I've been in a refugee camp for 22 years, the same thing with my family, and we have applied for resettlement because there's a refugee resettlement. That refugees are resettled from from Uganda to Australia to Canada, there's that refugee settlement. My family, we have applied for more than 10 times in 20 yees.
To all different countries?
To all different countries, and we're rejected. They didn't allow us to go. And I will see...
How large was your family at that point? You, your mother, your father?
We're five. Yeah, five. And we're rejected, and with no idea. So with that all experiences, I knew maybe I was just meant to live in a refugee camp, and I could see my neighbors living every day, going to Canada, my neighbors going to Australia, and I never gave up. I was like, it's fine, let's let them go and live their, better life. But again, I was contented. I was like, maybe there's a problem, or I'm not lucky, and everything. So that helped me like, oh, this is my permanent home, so I'm just going to utilize everything here, because that's how my life is going to be. Even when I went to South Africa, I stayed because it's in Africa, and I went there for 3 days and came back. And then from there, I just like, I want to do this and help the refugees, and maybe start a hub where I can train refugees. That was my main focus. And then I was like, I want to keep on building and building and building. And I remember the biggest time I wanted to give up in life, it was like, there's a lot of time, but there was like the biggest time I almost like in a refugee camp. That was like 2017 when I was invited to San Francisco, like the biggest video game convention in the world. It brings over 30,000 people. It's called the Game Developers Conference. They reach out to me and they say, we want you to come to the state, to San Francisco, and give a talk. And I was like, got the email, I was like, wow, like finally I'm going to the US, like this is a country I dream of coming to. And you know what happened the next day? There was a refugee travel ban, which affected Sudan. And I was like, and we are South Sudan, we're not part of it, but most people could not differentiate between South Sudan. And that time I was like, wow, like maybe everything happened and then this happened. And I came back home and threw down my computer. I was annoyed, I was crying. And my mother saw me and she was like, what's going on? And I was like, this is what happened. And I got the biggest opportunity in my life to be able to connect with more game designers and learn more about the game industry, and for me to speak over like 30,000 people, and like this is the best industry in the world. And because of what I did, that's why I was invited. Threw down my computer and I was crying, and I said, no, I'm not going to do anything, because nothing will ever come out good from what I did, because this is a talent, this is something I want to share with the world, and all these things happen. And I also remember the days we used to apply for the settlement in a refugee camp and couldn't happen. It was like the 11th time for me to be rejected in 2017, and I was like, I'm not going to do anything again. I'm not going to code, I'm not going to do anything. And my mother looked at me in the face and she was like, let me tell you something, Lual. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, do you know you cannot steal water from an ocean? And I was like, what do you mean? You cannot steal water from an ocean? Can you explain it to me? She was like, yeah. If you go to an ocean and get a basket and then withdraw water, no matter how much you withdraw from an ocean, it keeps overflowing. And that's how you are. There's a lot of opportunities that are coming in your life. They may not be today. It's going to be in the next 10 years. Never give up. You're like, there's a lot of opportunities. You are alive. Nobody knew you were going to be alive. So never give up. Pick up your computer. And that moment really restored my hope.
So how did you get to the United States?
Then from there, I kept on working, and then from there, there was something called Peace Tech Accelerator. It was like it was a program here in Washington D.C. that bring only 5 companies in the world that are using technology for social good, and I was selected for that.
Is that run by the U.S. Institute of Peace?
Yes.
We have some more video to show, because they did a story about you when you came for that. Let's watch.
You.
The idea for Junub Games started in South Sudan's capital, Juba, but it was here at the U.S. Institute of Peace where Mayen was able to receive guidance from the Peace Tech Accelerator program earlier this year. Junub Games has already been distributed in Nyamazi and Rhino refugee camps in Uganda, with plans for distribution in more refugee camps in northern Uganda, as well as IDP sites across South Sudan. But Mayen says he wants to expand Junub Games to other parts of the world.
You know, the conflict is everywhere in the world. So I have to make sure that I'm keeping in my mind that this game are not only for South Sudanese,
out there, not only made for South Sudanese war content. They're made like you know, to benefit everybody.
You look pretty sharp, suit and a tie. You had to get it for this conference in Washington.
Yes.
Huh? So people should know the U.S. Institute of Peace is part of the U.S. State Department, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what happened with that recognition? What happened next?
It really helped me really understand like the business part of it and how we can use a startup to be able to like use technology for peace building, and actually helped me to understand more about peace building and conflict resolution, and also like getting to sit down with experts in the conflict resolution area. And actually that's actually helped me to connect with universities so that they can give me guidelines and also understand what conflict is, so that because my main focus is the practical part of it, so I want to need the theoretical part of conflict resolution so that I can be able to like put them into practice. Yeah.
So how did you get here permanently?
So from there, I started working. I went back to the refugee camp actually after this, and then from there I got a G4 visa from the World Bank. I became a consultant for them.
The World Bank made you a consultant.
Yeah.
What does a G visa allow you to do?
It's a program that really helps you to like. It's like a diplomat. It's like a green card, but it really is more. It make you to like stay here for like 10 years and so on. Yeah.
And why did you decide to settle in Washington, D.C.?
Because first of all, there's a diversity in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of organization here. There's a lot of because my focus is also like to see the other part of like the social impact part of most of what organizations are doing, so that I can be able to react and also learn and also like. But like as long with business, I can always go to San Francisco with thing to do with like video game. But like the good thing, I feel like home. Like DC feel like home to me. It's not like it's not too much. It's not huge. It's not like New York. But like I love it because it really like the communities are really great here, and there's also diversity. So I feel like it's a great place to live. Yeah.
Another big recognition came in 2018.
Yes.
Facebook has a conference, the gaming conference, and they recognized you as a global gaming citizen. Let's watch a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Now, tonight, the Game Awards and Facebook Gaming are recognizing global gaming citizens, people who are enriching the lives of others around the world through video games. We're going to tell some stories tonight of 3 people that I think you should meet and hear their stories, and I'm so proud to have these in the Game Awards. First up, please take a look at his story.
You know, being in a refugee camp is not easy. You know, what is next? What are you going to leave tomorrow? Are you not going to leave tomorrow? One day I asked my mom to buy for me a computer. She saved that money for almost 3 years. It was like that moment that just turned everything, like everything is possible for me.
26 million people watched that event on Facebook. What happened to you after that?
It really helped me a lot. This is actually the recognition really helped me like to get into the game industry, and also like connect with really great people in the game industry, especially people that are running successful video game, like especially like Santa Monica Studio. One of my best industry friend right now that we are collaborating together, and they made a video game called God of War, like one of the best video game of all time, and that really helped me really to share my ideas and also like see what the next 10 years is going to be for me, and connecting me with businesses like and like scaling myself, and also like making sure that the game for social good have a space in the video game industry. This is the moment that really put us in the mouth of the video game industry.
You formed a company called Junub Games.
Yes,
what does that mean?
So Junub is an Arabic word mean people of the south. So Junubin is like South Sudanese. So
and it's
like
based here in Washington.
It's based in Washington, D.C.
Do you have employees?
So right now we have people that are working on the game, and we are everywhere. Like here in D.C., we are in San Francisco, and we also like have 2 people in Brazil.
And how are you getting your funding?
So right now it's more like a lot of things are like more self-funding, but we also like have people that are really supporting us from like, we have a friend from who play NBA that is really supporting us to keep so that we can finish the game. Yeah.
You want to say his name because he's been very important.
He's very important. Lual Mayen. Lual Mayen has been an amazing person.
The Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. I play for La Galaxy, the LA. Then he played for the Miami Heat, and he played for the Bulls.
And he's South Sudanese as well.
And he's a British South Sudanese. Yeah.
So you connected through your heritage.
Yeah.
So where is your family now?
So yeah, that's a good thing. Right now my family is in Canada. My family moved to Canada 4 months ago from a refugee camp.
And how did that finally happen?
That happened because when I came here, my biggest focus was like, what is next? What can I do to help my family? What can I do to help my mother? And I work so hard so that I can work hand in hand with the Canadian government to help them take them to Canada. And it was really a very good process that finally happened. And they were like, yeah, you're doing great things, so we can help you, yeah.
So tell me about your goal for them. Do you hope to get them to the United States at some point?
My goal for them, right now, they are like, first of all, I was having a conversation with my mother actually, and the first time she called me, she was like, thank you. And that moment changed my life when she went to Canada, because I never thought my mother would ever tell me thank you, because what she has done to me is more than what I would ever gonna do for her. And that thank you was really amazing. And the first thing she was telling me was like, hey, Lual, we have a lot of food here. I don't know how can I get it back, because she has maybe some relatives that are suffering back there. And I was like, that's how life is. Eat what you have. And because like she was like, oh, there's a lot of food here in Canada. We can eat now. And I was like, that's how life is. You can have and you cannot have. And my two brothers right now, my sisters, are really doing well. They go to school now in Canada. So, and they have better opportunities than me right now. My younger brother is playing soccer now, like really professional, and some part in Canada. And the plan for them, their plan for me is just for my brothers to follow the right path in life. That's my main focus, and see what that means to them. Yeah.
So we've got about 10 minutes.
Okay,
it's a big story, and I want to do some kind of wrap-up questions with you. So, first of all, so much has happened to you in such a short time. You're 25 years old, and the arc of your life, from refugee camp to living in Washington, D.C., and having connections all over the world, developing this game, having the Washington Post and CBS News do stories about you. How are you processing all of this?
It's really hard. It's really hard to process, because it's never been something that I ever dreamed of. But again, it gives me so much hope that there's a lot of, and millions of Lual outside there. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of refugees, and this really helped me to be able to like compress everything, and make sure like things like this happen, and also like just go with the flow, and also like making sure this is an example for me to show to the refugees that we can not only survive, but we can thrive. So something like this it give me like an example of to be a voice for the refugees, and also tell people like, oh, we can be entrepreneurs, we can employ people, we can make businesses, we can do anything that we wish to do as refugees. So, and to me, with that kind of praise, or with that kind of recognition that I'm getting right now, I'm like, what can I do to give back? And one of the things that I'm doing right now, and I'm beginning in January, is start a program in a refugee camp to train refugees, over 400 refugees, to become developers. And that's something I've been working on. And I am so happy that I'm collaborating with a lot of big companies to be able to give them resources. And we are beginning that project in the end of January. So that's something I'm really excited about, and something that I can be able to give back, so that we can have more refugees that can be entrepreneurs and developers. Yeah.
Can you go back to South Sudan? What's the political situation like there?
South Sudan is crazy. It's you can go back, the thing will come, but like it's a personal decision, where you can say, I gotta go, and if everything is fine, it's okay. If everything is not good, it's like a personal decision. But like everything is not like really good.
You want to be an example for refugees, but let me flip the coin. There's so many refugee displaced populations all over the world right now. What do you want people to know about refugees? What should we know as we're all having these challenges in countries with large populations coming in? What's the message you want to give to them about that?
The message I need to give to them is that as a refugee by myself, the moment I became a refugee, the moment I settled in northern Uganda was like a moment that I had a peace of mind, right? But the most important thing I want people to understand is the journey, what it has taken somebody to become a refugee. If you understand the root of that, then it will help you that you can be part to change the world. We can do everything to be able to make refugees communities better. So the journey is very important.
And about your mother, you talked about how important that thank you was. How is she processing everything that's happened to you?
She says she's happy. She's having a better life right now, and that's all she wants. And at the end of the day, she really don't understand whatever I'm doing because she's not educated. Sometimes I would just tell her, "Hey, I'm doing something," but I understand that at the end of the day, she's very happy of what is going on, and she's very happy that what she worked for has actually helped the family and also the world as well.
So if we check in with you in 5 years, 10 years from now, are we going to see a world-recognized video game developer, or are we going to see a world-recognized spokesperson for the plight of displaced people? Where do you want this to go? Are the games a means to an end, or are they the end?
That's a good question. You're going to see me like Junub Games is going to be a great company. It's going to be a big company in the next 5-10 years. That's my dream. And there's some other path I'm going to take in life. There's some other paths like entertainment, maybe the film industry, maybe to be able to make sure like we, again, like as a refugee, as I go, I will never stop talking about refugees because it's my life. No matter where I go, I will always remind people who the refugees are because it's a crisis that goes every day. And I'm not somebody who someone say, "Hey, come and talk about refugees." It's part of me. It's part of my life. And the video game industry is what I'm going to stick with, and make the social good community make more games in terms of business, in terms of impact, in terms of this back to my game, making sure we help millions of people through my game with in-app purchases.
Do you hope someday to be a U.S. citizen?
That's a good question. Yes, I wish.
And why is that important to you?
This is a great country. This is a great country that a lot of people are dreaming of living in. It's an amazing country. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of it's a great country.
What do you want people to know about your experience with immigration, since we're having a big debate about it? You tried one time and couldn't get through because of the program. You're here now. So what should we know about how the system works from your perspective?
I'm pretty sure like it's something I feel like we could do better because we really don't understand what people go through and what people want and why people want to come to this country. So I feel like, I think we can do better. We can look into the humanity of people and see how we can help them, if that makes sense.
I would be delighted to be able to check in with you in 5 years and see how your dreams and aspirations work out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for spending an hour with C-SPAN.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Q&A programs are available on our website or as a podcast at cspan.org.